leaving a band is like a divorce.
It's
and it
just
is.
like getting divorced. Oh, you know, exactly.
At first you're angry. You get really angry.
Well, we used to rehearse across the road from a movie theatre and I think it was Tony who said, isn't it weird that people pay money to go and get the shit out of them? You know, why don't we do music that way?
Purely because the rehearsal place where we were rehearsing was across the road from a movie house. And we just looked at a line of people waiting to go in to see this horror movie, and we thought, isn't it funny that people pay money to get the pants scared off them? And we just thought, yeah, why don't we try and do that, put that kind of a theme to music? And it just developed from there, really.
You know, 'cause you've got to remember at the time, it was flower power, and if you go to San Francisco, now we're living in the Aston, Birmingham, smug shit and whatever goes on, you know. And San Francisco was like going to Mars, you know, so it wasn't that way for us, and so we thought we'd start playing horror music. Tony Iommi is a very, to me, has a very powerful aura. He has a very powerful demeanor with him. He's a very powerful man in a lot on the surface, but
He used to intimidate the shit out of me.
Is that, do you think, what was it the root of the distrust that went on, was the fact that you felt intimidated by him?
Well, I mean, I just felt like this. I thought they were the musicians and I was the singer.
Right.
And I didn't have that much to say what went down, you know.
I would always feel less than, because he could play. He would come out with these incredible riffs, and he was always kind of like the undesignated leader of the band, and so I would kind of lean on him as being like the father image of the band, and when anything went wrong, I would kind of let him sort it out, which was wrong of me, I suppose. It was all left on Tony Iommi's shoulders to do it all, you know. But it was kind of like ego, drugs, alcohol, and women were the biggest. I should say alcohol and drugs were the two main ones.
Do you think people who like a wild lifestyle are attracted to rock and roll, or do you think rock and roll turns people wild?
I think I was wild before I ever met rock and roll. I think it was just Ozzy nutter, you know. We came to America and we thought like drugs and all that was just a part of the gig, you know. You know, you just get stoned and you just get up and that make your gig and all that. And what happened with Black Sabbath? We all ended up junkies and alcoholics and everything. Like the drummer ended up in a rehabilitation centre. I did. I mean, I should be dead. We all should be f***ing dead. What we were with the shit that we were f***ing abusing motherfuckers, man. We used to rape and pillage everywhere we went. We were f***ing nuts. I was stoned all the time, and so I didn't really appreciate what was going on around me. And I was into the sex, drugs, and the rock and roll was paying for my sex and the drugs. And in the end, disaster happens. It's inevitable to happen, disaster, because it's like drugs. They were okay at the time, but we outgrew them, you know. We were told lies by management. We were taken advantage of by so many people. And we've all been through a lot of emotional things and a lot of addiction problems and a lot of marital problems.
In them days, I wasn't that wealthy from the music game.
Right.
Because the manager and the lawyers were taking it all off us.
Yeah.
I mean, the lawyers get the check before you do, and they put the bill in. So if you got a check for 20 grand, you get maybe fucking 3 grand out of it.
Management we had never let us realise how big we were, you know. I mean, we always used to think we were lower than Zeppelin. We were lower than, you know, we were always we used to share rooms, for Christ's sake, for many years until we demanded our own rooms on the road.
But at the end of the day, we'd been ripped off by the manager, then we tried to manage ourselves.
A lot of ups and downs together. We'd been ripped off by managers, we'd been screwed, and we were just like a bunch of kids drunk all the time, you know. So we never really we were never really business-minded. We never knew where the accounts were, what accountants were, what lawyers meant, what documents, tax paying or any of that. They used to just feed us drugs and alcohol, you know. And I always remember one day I came out of Heathrow Airport and one of the road crew gets in a Lamborghini and my wife picks me up in a Volkswagen, and I suddenly scratched my head and I thought, There's something wrong here, you know. Just raped, and I said to my ex-manager, I like to be kissed when I'm getting.
But then comes the time when you get fired. Did that hurt?
Well, it was kind of weird because it was like the pot calling the kettle black because we were all so messed up anyway. So and I said, why are you firing me? Because you're pissed? I said, no, the reason why I'm getting fired because I'm the first one to get pissed. I mean, everyone, I would get up, no matter what I would do, I would always be awake early. So I would start drinking and getting stoned earlier than them. They wouldn't get up till 2 o'clock.
So at that point, when they fired you, did you think, well, that's it for Black Sabbath?
No.
For Black Sabbath.
I was in like, staying on West now, at the Le Parc Hotel.
It was a very sad period. I remember leaving there. I locked myself in a hotel room for three months, just getting smashed out of my brains every day, you know.
I'm gonna have the party of my life till I've done it. Go back home. So I'm in there one day, and Sharon knocks the door and she goes, "If you clean your act up, I want a manager." When she said that to me, I'm like, "You want to manage me? What the fuck are you saying, mate?" She's got me together.
But she changed everything for you.
She saved my life.
But it was time anyway. It was time for a change. I'd had an idea of doing a solo project all along the line, and it was kind of we'd outrun our course, you know, for that time, and it was the best thing that had happened actually.
My separation from Sabbath, I thought it was all over for me. I thought, you know, I was probably end up back in a factory in Birmingham.
But at the time, I was like, it's over. I'm back on the dole. You know, get my burgling suit out again.
Also, do you still talk to any of the guys from Sabbath at all?
To be perfectly honest, I'm so busy myself that I don't really have the time to, because they're always one side of the world and I'm always the other. I'm so busy with my own project that I don't have time, you know.
Why did Ward leave the band, you know?
I really don't know. I haven't spoken to him since the day I left. I speak to Tony very little, and even less to Bill, so Bill is as crazy, worse than me, Billy.
But Ozzy always says that leaving a band is like a divorce.
It's
and
just like getting divorced. Oh, you know, exactly.
At first you're angry, you get really angry.
You only know what you've missed when it's gone. You know, it's like the breakup that we had was just like a divorce. I mean, I said loads of bad things about those guys, and they said loads of bad things about me. I mean, I ain't gonna praise me. I ain't gonna praise them because we didn't leave it. We didn't separate in a happy mode, shall we say. It didn't go well. See you later, guys. You know. I mean, since leaving Sabbath, that my life has just bettered and bettered and bettered. You know, it's just gone from better to better.
But people still think of you in a Black Sabbath context. You know, we get a lot of people.
It's a natural thing for people to think that, because after all, I was with them for 11 years and I was the voice behind Black Sabbath for so many years, and I was, I suppose, an integral part of the band's sound. It was like me versus them and them versus me still. It was still the kind of animosity was still alive and kicking. I thought I could outdo them, they thought I could outdo me. So a lot of people say, oh, this sounds like a better version of Black Sabbath or a different version of Black Sabbath. Of course they're going to say that because I was the voice, you know.
Well, what is the difference, though, for you? Musically, what's the difference?
Free. I mean, Black Sabbath is like a prison sentence to me. I mean,
Blizzard of Oz and Dire of a Madman, and all they were ideas that I'd had, which I couldn't musically put across to Black Sabbath, because they wouldn't never give me the time of day to try and explain myself. Whereas Randy Rhoads came along and he was patient, and we spent hours and hours and we worked them out. And
How did you rate Sabbath when Gillan was in the band?
I never saw them. I never heard anything from them. And the day I left Sabbath, I've never picked up a record since I've left.
Really?
Because it's just. We didn't leave on very friendly terms at the beginning, but, you know, it's a lot of water going under the bridge in a sense. Like. I'm a very loyal guy in the respect that I stick by my commitments, but I went through hell in a day with that band, and to break my ties off that band was the best day of my life, not because I don't like them, it's because I had to do it. It's like I had gangrene of the leg and I had to amputate it, you know, and I've done it now, and I feel like a new man. I feel great. The response of the album's great. I mean, the tour we're doing is great. I found out what fun's about, you know. I forgot how to smile without having a beer, you know.
Right.
The thing about Black Sabbath, who knows? I mean, I went to see Deep Purple, and I was kind of disappointed in the respect that I remember Deep Purple when they were fabulous and they get everybody going, and it didn't have the same thing. It's like when you go on a holiday and you have a great time, you think, oh, we'll go back there in 4 years' time, and you think, what's happened to it, you know? That's the feeling I got when I saw them.
It was the best job I ever got fired from, because they had a challenge. I mean, whatever I've said about Tony Iommi in the past was a lot of anger and a lot of bitterness on both parts. But I've got to be truthful to you. He's one of the greatest all-time riff merchants. I mean, he came up with some classic heavy metal riffs.
Oh, I was very kind of pissed off and bitter, and there was war when I went, and there was a lot of things said. But that's all in the way. It's all bullshit. You know, I'm mature to it. You know, I've come through a lot, and I guess the guys as well. I mean, I suppose to a certain extent, I believe in destiny, and that's about what I can honestly say. That I'm glad back with the guys and friendly. If we never do anything more than this, we're friends and we can pick up the phone and say how you doing, which is the best, more valuable to me than any music. That we're back to being friends again.